Imagine waking up tomorrow only to discover that Europe's most robust economy is silently, steadily unraveling. This isn't due to the ravages of war on its own territory, nor is it the fallout from a sudden financial meltdown. Instead, its demise is simply because the cost of keeping the lights on, quite literally, has become prohibitively expensive. Germany, the very nation renowned for crafting the automobiles, chemicals, and precision machinery that have long fueled the modern world, is now facing a stark reality. Its factories are closing their doors, workers are being laid off, and its foundational industrial sector is increasingly relocating its core operations to the United States. This raises an immediate and rather uncomfortable question. Is the United States truly benefiting from Germany's precipitous decline? Or, perhaps more alarmingly, is this actually the harbinger of a far broader global crisis, one whose repercussions could ultimately impact American jobs, financial markets, and even your personal finances? For many decades, Germany stood out as far more than just another nation within Europe. It consistently functioned as the undisputed industrial powerhouse, driving the entire Western world. When concepts like unwavering reliability, meticulous precision, and unparalleled engineering excellence came to mind, Germany was invariably the country people pictured. Brands such as Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes, BASF, and Siemens were more than mere corporations. They had achieved the status of global institutions, embodying German industrial prowess. Germany's remarkable success was built upon a deceptively simple, yet profoundly effective formula. Design and manufacture high-value products, export them globally, and fuel this entire process with a consistent supply of inexpensive, reliable energy. That final component, in particular, proved to be far more crucial to its economic structure than most observers ever fully grasped. German factories didn't merely consume energy, they devoured it in colossal, unprecedented quantities. From massive steel mills to sprawling chemical plants and high-volume auto assembly lines, every facet of this industrial behemoth relied on a single, indispensable input: natural gas. For many years, this essential gas flowed dependably and affordably from Russia. Direct pipelines channeled this vital resource straight into the very core of Germany's industrial landscape. Energy prices remained remarkably low, ensuring that German production stayed acutely competitive on the global stage. This significant energy advantage quietly but powerfully transformed Germany into the undeniable economic backbone of the entire European continent. However, this convenience simultaneously fostered a perilous dependency, one that would, in time, inevitably cripple the entire system. When Russia initiated its invasion of Ukraine, public and media attention largely fixated on military hardware, economic sanctions, and the broader geopolitical ramifications. Yet, within Germany's borders, a far more ominous and unsettling development was rapidly unfolding. The crucial flow of natural gas abruptly ceased. Practically overnight, Germany found itself cut off from the affordable energy supply that had been the lifeblood of its vast economy. The ensuing economic impact was nothing short of brutal and immediate. Natural gas prices across Europe didn't merely increase, they skyrocketed with an unprecedented, explosive force. At their absolute peak, the prices for industrial natural gas in Germany surged to 4 to 6 times the cost experienced by manufacturers in the United States. Consider the profound implications of that statistic. Picture trying to operate a large factory where your single largest operational expense suddenly quintuples. Such a dramatic increase simply cannot be absorbed by even the most robust balance sheet. Nor can these exorbitant costs be readily passed on to consumers, primarily because fierce global competition remains utterly indifferent to any individual nation's energy crisis. In an instant, Germany's once formidable industrial strength transformed into its most profound vulnerability. Factories consequently scaled back their operations, production lines ground to a halt, and corporate executives found themselves in a state of growing panic. And for the first time in many generations, Germany's industrial sector began to grapple with a question that, until recently, would have been considered utterly inconceivable. Is it still economically viable to manufacture goods within Germany? This marks the crucial juncture where the unfolding narrative shifts from a mere crisis to a situation with far more permanent and structural implications. Germany didn't merely enter a temporary economic recession, it arguably embarked on a path towards widespread deindustrialization. BASF, the globe's largest chemical corporation, delivered a truly startling announcement. The company revealed plans to permanently reduce the scale of its operations within Germany. This wasn't a temporary measure, nor was it a pause until energy prices might stabilize. This was a definitive, permanent change. Concurrently, BASF declared substantial new investments were being channeled into its operations in the United States. Specifically, locations like Texas and Louisiana, which offered the critical combination of inexpensive natural gas, a stable energy supply, and attractive government incentives. Volkswagen, another titan of German industry, soon issued similar warnings and concerns. Its executives openly voiced doubts about Germany's long-term viability as a competitive production hub. Meanwhile, numerous other manufacturers, without generating major headlines, discreetly began shifting their production capacities to facilities located overseas. This movement underscored a harsh truth. Rising energy costs, fundamentally, hold no regard for national pride or historical industrial legacy. When these industrial facilities depart, they don't simply pack up their machinery. They invariably take away thousands of jobs, critical skills, vital tax revenue, and the very foundation of entire local economies. And crucially, unlike previous economic downturns, this particular crisis carried a distinctly different and more ominous character. These factories weren't simply biding their time, hoping for an eventual recovery. They were making permanent departures. On the surface, this unfolding situation might appear to be a problem contained entirely within Europe's borders. However, Germany is far from just another country on the continent. It stands as the undisputed economic backbone of the entire European Union. Should Germany's economic engine falter, the inevitable consequence is a slowdown across all of Europe, and when the European economy decelerates, its ripples are felt throughout the global economic landscape. Germany is a significant purchaser of American goods, a vital investor in U.S. companies, and a critical stabilizing force for European financial markets. Consequently, a weakened Germany translates directly into reduced demand for American exports, increased strain and vulnerability in global supply chains, and heightened volatility across international financial markets. And yet, amid Germany's profound struggles, another nation has been quietly, almost strategically, reaping significant benefits: the United States. While European nations were desperately scrambling to secure adequate energy supplies, America found itself in the enviable position of possessing an incredibly valuable commodity: abundant and cheap natural gas. Largely owing to its extensive shale production, the U.S. emerged as one of the world's most cost-effective energy producers. Crucially, unlike many European nations, the United States maintained sovereign control over its energy supply. This meant no reliance on pipelines traversing potentially hostile borders, no threat of sudden supply cutoffs, simply an abundant, domestically sourced energy supply. This advantageous energy situation was further amplified by strategic government policy. Specifically, the Inflation Reduction Act introduced an array of massive incentives designed to encourage companies to establish new factories within the U.S. These incentives included attractive tax credits, direct subsidies, and the promise of long-term policy certainty for investors. For German corporate executives, the economic calculations became starkly, almost painfully, simple. Their choice was clear: continue manufacturing in Germany, contending with astronomical energy costs, or shift production to the United States, where energy was 3 to 5 times cheaper, further sweetened by significant government support. Inevitably, they opted for America. Consequently, a substantial flow of German capital began moving westward across the Atlantic. This included investments in brand new chemical plants, advanced battery factories, and state-of-the-art auto production lines. Ostensibly, on paper, this migration of industry presented itself as a clear manufacturing renaissance for the United States. It promised an increase in jobs, greater foreign investment, and an overall boost to industrial power. However, this is precisely where the narrative becomes significantly more complex and nuanced. The crucial distinction here is that America isn't primarily benefiting from its own organic growth. Instead, its gains are largely derived from another nation's decline. History, unfortunately, often demonstrates that such a mode of winning can be inherently perilous in the long run. Germany's ongoing process of deindustrialization does not occur in a vacuum. A significantly weaker Europe inevitably translates to diminished global economic growth, increased financial instability worldwide, and an elevated level of geopolitical risk. And when global consumer and industrial demand invariably declines, American companies will also, without doubt, feel the adverse effects. After all, American factories rely heavily on robust global markets for their sales and expansion. U.S. stock markets are intricately linked to and dependent on steady global capital flows, and the strength and stability of the U.S. dollar are fundamentally tied to broader global confidence. Should Europe truly enter a sustained period of industrial decline, the economic shockwaves generated will certainly not halt at the shores of the Atlantic Ocean. These repercussions will inevitably cascade onto Wall Street, spread throughout Main Street, and ultimately impact the financial well-being of countless American households. Thus, while America might be attracting new factories and investment today, there's a significant risk it could simultaneously be inheriting a legacy of profound global instability tomorrow. Germany's current crisis illuminates a far deeper and more fundamental truth about the mechanics of the modern global economy. In this 21st century, it is increasingly clear that affordable and reliable energy supply is intrinsically linked to a nation's economic destiny. Nations blessed with cheap, consistent energy sources naturally draw in industrial investment, whereas those lacking such access risk losing their very economic foundation. Germany meticulously constructed its long-standing economic success upon an energy system over which it now exercises virtually no control. The United States, by contrast, at least for the foreseeable future, retains sovereign control over its own energy resources. This inherent advantage grants America a profoundly powerful competitive edge. However, even the most robust advantages can vanish with surprising speed, often quicker than anyone anticipates. Energy markets are inherently dynamic. Political landscapes are constantly shifting, and unpredictable global crises can erupt at any moment. The cautionary tale unfolding in Germany extends far beyond merely a European concern. It serves as a potent warning for the rest of the world. Germany's industrial factories are increasingly dimming their lights. Its iconic companies are relocating operations overseas, and its once unshakable economic model is being fundamentally rewritten in real time. On the surface, America certainly appears to be emerging as the primary beneficiary in this complex scenario. Yet, the truly pertinent question remains: can the United States genuinely prosper and sustain its growth in a global environment where its most significant and historically reliable allies are experiencing a profound weakening? Or, more troublingly, does Germany's industrial collapse signify the onset of a slower, inherently more unstable global economy, a future where, ultimately, no single nation can claim a true, lasting victory? Because history consistently teaches us a singular, undeniable truth. When the foundational engine of the global economy experiences a breakdown, its widespread impact eventually makes itself felt by everyone, without exception.